were supposed to have a quick introductory section at 8:45, but we are a little bit late, and we have guests waiting online, so we will skip that introductory session, and so that our guests who are waiting online can speak and go and continue with their other commitments. So, but before that, I would like to welcome our regional bureau directors, Dr. David Berkele again. And we have online our vice president in charge of community development and engagement. And we also have our directors in charge of chapters. So I won't take long to introduce them. They will introduce themselves. So without further ado, I will hand over to David for the welcome remarks before Christine and Joyce can take over.
Comme le francophone parle en anglais, moi je vais parler en français. Bonjour, j'espère que vous êtes... ok, vous prenez vos écouteurs. Bonjour, j'espère que vous êtes bien reposés et vous avez eu une journée assez chargée hier. Nous allons avoir aussi une journée chargée aujourd'hui, donc j'espère que vous êtes plein d'énergie. Nous avons eu une journée, je pense, intéressante hier, des débats très fructueux et nous allons avoir, je pense, un calendrier, un agenda aussi intéressant aujourd'hui. Je ne vais pas trop parler, je vais juste inviter notre vice-présidente, Joyce Donnier, qui va, je pense, nous parler un peu de ce qui se passe autour du développement des communautés. Donc, merci Joyce, s'il vous plaît.
Merci David. Good morning, everyone. I'm very pleased to be here, but to set the tone, I will, as a French-speaking person, also continue in French. So I will leave the headsets for the English-speaking people in the room, et je vais continuer en français. Bonjour tout le monde. Comme je disais, je suis très heureuse d'être là, et comme francophone, je me dis aussi que ce serait approprié que je continue en français aujourd'hui pour balancer un petit peu les deux langues. Je suis vraiment très heureuse d'être là. J'aurais bien aimé vous voir, mais malheureusement, je ne vous vois pas. Donc, voilà, je vois juste Internet Society. J'espère que vous avez passé de très bonnes journées. J'ai vu que votre programme était très, très chargé. Je sais que vous êtes en de très bonnes mains. J'ai suivi un petit peu ce qui se passait sur Twitter. J'ai vu quelques photos. Donc je pense que les choses se sont bien passées jusqu'à présent. Je suis très heureuse de vous avoir réunis, même si j'aurais aimé être avec vous, parce que vous êtes vraiment très importants. Nos chapitres, comme vous savez, sont un élément clé dans le développement de l'Internet Society et dans le succès de ce qu'on fait avec l'Internet Society. L'énergie et la passion de notre communauté, que ce soit les membres individuels, les chapitres, même les organisations qui sont comme l'Union africaine, qui nous soutiennent par exemple dans des activités comme celles qu'on fait maintenant, sont la passion, l'énergie pour la mission de l'Internet Society est exceptionnelle, et c'est grâce à vous tous qu'on peut réussir à avancer notre mission comme on le fait. Alors, je vais juste vous parler un tout petit peu je pense que vous avez couvert hier un petit peu le plan d'action 2019 et donc les 4 pôles de travail qu'on a identifiés en 2019. Donc la partie connexion du monde, la partie
to the world, constructions, building of confidence, the security, technical security, and the future of internet, envisaging the future. These are the four poles that around which we have been working, how we've organized our work in 2019. On the contrary, the part which is, for me, the most important of our activities I'm in charge of, it is how and with whom. So community aspect, community building, as you see on the slide, on the part which is critical in the things that we have been doing, sending priorities relating to relevant priorities regarding these four poles. And if we think of the work that we've done, the community networks and the work that we've been doing on Africa, no, nothing would have been successful without the contribution of the community. Even if we're talking about security, you've talked a lot about it yesterday, and you've applied yourself to it, the work that we've done. And so we did in Senegal, and security is not possible without the support of the community. So the organization, the support of on our part, of the work that you do at the local level is critical. So I think that you are going to talk about that today, on how you can be involved, and also have an impact in your local communities to support the mission and the action plan, the global action plan. I think that today, I trust Victor about all that is happening. So I know you're going to discuss on how to mobilize, how to discuss at the political level on issues that are very important in the African region. And you're also going to see the resources that we made available to you. I want to encourage you to have open discussions and to also give us feedback on what you need. I think that you've already done the last day. You've also had the opportunity to share your experiences, good practices, and also to tell us a bit of what you will need regarding support to be able to complete the things that we have as goals. The last thing I want to talk about is that yesterday it was that David who did the sessions on the objective for 2020-2025. And there too, I want to encourage you to take what you learned yesterday seriously and really bring it into, send them to your chapters and discuss with people. Without you, the plan for the future would be difficult. You are the communities and the crucial element of the organization, also in our mission. And so having your input, your vision is very important in this, to be very important, and how we can have discussions, critical discussions. So I want to encourage you to share what you have learned, but also to ask the opinion of those who didn't have the opportunity of coming to this workshop this week, and to share your opinions. So what you have a lot of things to do today. So I will also share with you the contacts. If you have any questions, no, you can simply contact me. Don't hesitate. I'm there. If you are surrounded with a team, a good place where you are. Thank you. Thank you, Joyce. Would you have a few minutes to answer some questions from representatives of the chapters? Yes, obviously, with all pleasure, in English or in French. I know that you speak all the languages of the world. There was a question, a relevant question yesterday. I want to start with that, a pertinent question. I don't remember exactly who asked that, but the vision we'll have a strategic plan, and we hoping we want to be ambitious. And with the strategic plan work without changing the chapters, with the chapter models of the existing chapters, can they get get us to where we want to get to by 2025? So my answer, my provisional response was that to say that here, there's nothing fixed. So it's up to them to do in the surveys, say what they think, what must change. So there, everything is open. There's nothing prohibited. When we haven't drawn a strategic plan, we have the right to put in anything. So how do you react to such a person? I don't have anything to add. I think that you were in my mind. It's the same reaction that I'm going to have to that. It is an opportunity to also give inputs on that. I think that you said there is nothing fixed or cast in iron. The ideal is for it to operate, function everywhere. In some countries, it works better than others. That depends on a lot of energy and passion available, and also the just from benevolent people. And it is not related to internet society. In law organizations, we have benevolent bodies. It's cyclical, so it depends on people who are managing the issues, who are leading the chapter. It is true that we've been trying to do as much as possible for it to be easy, for things to be easier for the chapters. Is there another model that can be better? If you have ideas, then we are ready to take. I think that the vision that we want to have is an ambitious vision. There's for them a vision for 2025. So we need to put in all that we have relating to internet, on which we've worked. There is an urgency to do certain things and to do the work very important if the internet group must be secured or globally connected, accessible to everybody. So we really have an urgent work to do. And as I was saying, the advantage or the strength of internet society is the way in which we've structured our community in a systematic manner than as compared with other organizations. So to have local people there, it is something that differentiates us from the other organizations. So it is through you, it is through the work that we have for now. But is it perfect? No. We are aware of that. Are there other ideas to be able to structure the community, which is excessively important in our mission? Maybe. So if you have ideas, we are ready to, we welcome them, we are open to them. For instance, in the Middle East, we have a lot of problems with the chapters because it is a concept which is difficult in the region. We are trying to see how we can work with our communities at the local level in a different manner. So Christine has talked at length about it, and we are testing the communities online, the youth in the Middle East to see if it is something that is operating well. So we are testing a lot of small things where we have the opportunity. So if in Africa you think that another structure, even at the global level, if you can propose something, don't hesitate. Thank you, Joyce. Let me call upon participants to ask questions for Joyce. Mondel. Thank you, Dawit. Good morning, Joyce. It's Mondel from Tunisian chapter. Good morning. Let me come back to this issue of, indeed, this approach. The current state of chapters is it compatible with the strategic vision of global internet society? Indeed, it is true that there is a work that must be done in these chapters. And with us, we need to work more on the same direction of the vision, but also what I recommend to internet society is to also to ensure to do a sort of diagnostic of the current situation of the chapters to ensure to come out at the shortcomings. You know that there is more visibility on all the activities of the chapters. So bring out the shortcomings, the most visible shortcomings, and also for future orientation, give recommendations, direct recommendations, real quick ones for us to make the necessary adjustments so that we'll be able to all move in the same direction. The idea is to ensure that make urgent recommendations in the light of the objectives and the vision that are generally stated from the strategy, so that we will really be able to get to a convenient approach towards successful. So at that level, we want to make an effort on the scale at the global level. We want to recommend a form of global audit, so that are going to to have collective actions, very urgent ones for the global vision. Thank you. Thank you. Yes. On the one hand, as you know, probably, I hope, we drew a questionnaire for the chapters to get ideas about what is happening. What are the things that which operate to work well, and those things that are not working. Christian is finalizing the outcome. So I think that it will be shared with you very soon. And that is going to help us to have a larger vision on things that are working and things that are not working, which need to be polished up. On the other hand, we have evaluations, performance evaluation of chapters, which was revised. The criteria were revised in collaboration with a working group of the chapter. We have the criteria on the performance evaluation of the chapters. The evaluations were made, and there we see certain trends in things that work well and those that are not working well, and that will help us to find a solution. That Lilian, who
very fair, but I'm saying only good things, I promise. Liliane qui est en ligne ici.
Lilian, who was online, who was part of this and part of the board of the chapters, and if you have ideas or comments on things on which we need to work with the board, so to put things in place. I think that these are the three channels we have now for evaluation of the chapters, for systematic and regular evaluation. So your representative, and they can also tackle certain issues. And Victor, please don't hesitate, because that is at the regional level, and at the global level, these are the three channels that are available. I think that that is going to help us in what we want to do. So if you have ideas, don't hesitate to. You know that she was
online. Good morning. My name is Muyebi from South African Chapter, or Gauteng Chapter. Essentially, my question would be, or mainly comment, in terms of awareness in recruiting members, especially members that are not aware that there's an ISOC existing in their country, or in our province in this instance, because we found it very hard that when it comes to awareness and actually education on what the mandate and what ISOC stands for, and essentially its goals. So I don't know if you guys have got mechanisms in terms of how we're going to recruit new members, especially the the members that are youth and women, because I find it very hard that we don't have a lot of women participating in ISOC South Africa. And also, I mean, it's important when you speak about building trust. So especially in our townships, we do a lot of seminars with the youth and the students. So in terms of creating the awareness through workshops and through seminars. So but mainly, I don't think it's efficient to a point where we can say we're driving results. So I don't know if ISOC is planning to create some form of campaigns in terms of recruiting members. Yeah, essentially that's my question.
Okay, let me try to summarize what he said, because I think the audio is not good from the other side. So I think what he's mentioning, that there are many members that are not, I think ISOC members that are not members of the chapters. So what needs to be done in order to bring them to the chapter, basically?
So yes, you're right. Thank you for the question. We have about, I think it's 45% at global level. It's about 45% of members, global members, that are not chapter members. There are various reasons for that. In some cases, it's because people don't have a chapter in their area, and they don't have enough, let's say, critical mass of members in their country or close by to actually start a chapter, or they may not be interested at this point in time. So that's one area. But in the areas where we have chapters, there's a number of reasons that we have heard from members that for which they wouldn't join. One is the distance to the activity. So if you have a large country and most of the activities are centered in one city, which is sometimes the case, that makes it harder. Now, that would not mean that we shouldn't try to convince those members to join chapters. So I know Christine has been working, Victor for Africa, but Christine with the 6 regions have been working on a campaign as well to actually encourage the non-chapter global members to join if they are based in a country. We can help sending out messages to those members at a regular basis. We are putting together a campaign to do that. So we have Corinne Ogu, who's our individual member manager, who's actually putting together a plan to fix some of these issues and actually addressing exactly that question. So the regular outreach to those people with news about the chapter and encouraging them to join, but also messages from the chapter as well. I think that's something that we can assist with. But for now, we don't really have a process in place that makes it something regular. So we're working on that. So I don't know if that answers your question, but.
Thank you, Joyce. I just a suggestion as well. I think one of the things that you can do is to include them in your activities. For example, yesterday, you might have seen many Ethiopian members of Internet Society. We invited them at this meeting, and then in the evening there was a chapter establishment meeting, and they all came. So at least many of them came. So I think rather than just inviting your members to your activities, you can invite just individual members of Internet Society that are not your members, and then they might get interested to join the chapter. Thank you. I said it was the last one, but I cannot refuse a question from our chapter ton winner, who wants to say something. Ramanu.
Okay, merci.
Thank you, Ramon Biao of the
Benin chapter, and I simply want to come up on this concern with the global members who are not attached to the chapters. Now, in the Benin chapter, we realized or we discovered this problem. I'm just interrupting. If you can go closer to your mic, because the audio was not coming up to where I am. So it's quite far, so he may come closer. Just wait for 30 seconds. Okay, I hope you receive me better now, perfectly. Now, so I was saying that in the Benin chapter, we have encountered this problem of members who are members at the global level, but who are not connected to the chapter. So for the fact that we organize activities, we have members and members of the chapter who participate in our activities, and we invite them to the Internet Society. They register on the platform, but then they are not able to, the majority are not that autonomous to know how to join a chapter. So I'm saying that maybe at the platform level, we should be able to review how the various options are possible for you to organize the chapters that are organized, and that would facilitate it for some people to be able to join easily a chapter. It was to tutorial to be able to explain to the new members after their registration at the global level how to join the chapter. Yes, I have shared this with Christine, who was supposed to have said this or mentioned this. But then there are about, in the next 2 weeks, there would be a voluntary call for such a work on the recruitment of members. And then that will also be recruitment of members of the chapter. So one of the topics that could be handled, and then also to see how we can motivate people globally to also join the chapters. Now, for the issue of the platform, it's noted, and I think this is something we can always improve upon. So thank you for this suggestion.
Thank you, Joyce. Merci encore, Joyce. Si tu as encore quelques minutes.
Thank you once again, Joyce. If you still have a few minutes, you can still remain online before we you move on to other commitments. And so I said, as I did in my introduction, that we have with us our director responsible for chapters and individual members. Christine has a few words to share with us, a question of data and the global perspectives, as well as the regional perspectives. And why are we organizing this type of meeting with the chapters? So to you, Christine, please. Thank you.
Let's make it a bit more interesting this morning. I'll give it a little moment for changing of headsets, I guess, in your room. Let me know if I can go when you're ready.
Yes, I think they are ready. You can.
Okay, good. So it's a pleasure to join this meeting, this workshop, this gathering of chapters in Africa, even though remotely. It's always good to see so many volunteers and motivated people come together to discuss our initiatives. So I would just like we discuss a lot of chapter issues already, chapter topics with Joyce already here. So I just want to give a little bit of a global context of, put what you're doing into a global context to give you a bit more background on, where these activities all sit. So currently we have 122 chapters around the world and 9 special interest groups. And your region, the African region, chapters in Africa right now. So that's just to set the perspective on how you fit into the global context here with what you're doing. This meeting that you're attending is one of the 6 chapter workshops that we organized in 2019 in all the Internet Society regions. And it's the second one on the agenda. The first one took place in Beirut in Lebanon last week for the Middle Eastern chapters.
Their focus there was on mutually agreed norms and for routing security manners, which was more on the technical security aspect of what Joyce just presented of what we do. And they also worked a lot on how they can support this. So it's all a lot of the what and the how, as Joyce presented in her presentation. So this is now the second workshop in line. The next one will be the one in Europe at the beginning of May in Bucharest for the European chapters. Then there's one in Kuala Lumpur in Malaysia in June for the APAC chapters, and followed by one in Washington for the North American chapters, and one in Costa Rica towards the end of the year, actually in September, for the Latin American and Caribbean chapters. So this is just to give a bit of context on where things are with your workshop in terms of the global context. So the objective of these workshops is really to provide a place for both chapters and special interest groups and also Internet Society staff to come together to share information, best practices, but also to learn and train on the main initiatives that the Internet Society is running in 2019. So this is really the objective that we had in mind with the workshops. We're looking for feedback if you feel this format works, what works well, what does not work well, and Victor, I'm sure, will share a survey for that after the workshop, because we're always trying to make these as useful as possible for both the chapters and special interest groups and the Internet Society as a whole. So in terms of our expectations, what we expect to come out of these workshops is really that you all leave with a feeling that you know a lot about the main initiatives that we're currently having on the action plan at the global level, but that you also have concrete action plans in your hands that you can take back home and implement in your local context, and thus you would achieve local impact that would directly contribute to the impact that we have at the global level with our initiatives, and thus sort of support this interaction between local and global, and national and global. So we really hope that these workshops are useful for that. And we'll also, after the workshop, we should not stop there and just make this, well, it's actually not 2 days, but 4 days in this case, make this a one-off, but we will be in touch with all of you after the workshop too, to see how we can help implement what you developed during these workshop days going back home, to make sure that we actually do get this impact, both for you as a chapter, but also feeding back into the global level of what we do with the initiatives at the global level. So that's it really in a nutshell. Joyce already pointed out to some of the initiatives in terms of membership recruitment, evaluation of chapters, where are we, what works well, what does not work well. If there's anything that you're unsure about, please always reach out, either to Victor or myself, or if it's something that you think the Chapter Advisory Council should be discussing, then we have Lillian on the call, who will also say a few words later on. She is really there to sort of gather this both feedback on things, but also topics that are of issue or are challenging you from the African region, and we'll be able to feed that back into the Chapter Advisory Council. So this is really her role here, her liaison position between the global chapter community and the chapters in your region. So with that, I think unless there are questions, I'm around. Otherwise, I wish you a very fruitful day, and we'll keep checking the various channels that I checked over the last few days to see photos, pictures, updates on the social media channels, for example. It's really nice to see all of you there, and we'll keep checking throughout the day. But I'm around for a bit to see if there are any questions.
Merci beaucoup, Christine. Je sais pas s'il y a des...
Thank you very much, Christine. I don't know whether there are any more questions addressed to Christine. I think there were a lot of questions with regard to the chapters and individual members, which were addressed to Joyce. So...
this presentation, we're there to listen to you. It's really, we're there to help you make the impact that you wish to have, and that does contribute to our impact overall.
Ok, merci encore, Christine.
Thank you once again, Christine. I hope you have a few more minutes. We also have with us online a representative of chapters at the advisory board of the Internet Society. So it is an advisory board which advises the board of directors of Internet Society on topics concerning the chapters. And so with us, our colleague Lillian from Uganda is going to speak in English. I simply would
repeat a comment that was made by Adam from the Senegal chapter yesterday. He suggested, and I think it's a very good suggestion, that the survey for the strategic plan should be forwarded to members by their chapter chairs, because people receive too many emails and they generally give more attention when it comes from people they know. So can you ask the chapter chairs to forward the messages to their chapter members? Would that be something that is doable?
I think that should be feasible, yes. We could ask them to send a reminder, maybe.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So Lillian, you have
the idea, by the way, to say.
Thank you, Joyce. So Lillian is the African representative to the Chapter Advisory Council. It's an advisory board that advises the Internet Society Board of Trustees on issues regarding chapters and also, I believe, individual member. But Lillian will talk more about that. I think for me, it was important to invite Lillian because we have been discussing some issue related to chapters, and I believe it is good that you are aware of that we have a mechanism to take your consent to the Internet Society Board of Trustees. So Lillian, you have the floor.
Hi everyone, good morning. I'm glad to join you remotely. I would have loved to be there physically, but hey, what's the purpose of the internet? I think to connect us, and so this is a good thing that I'm able to connect with you and also to connect to some of our colleagues and Christine who are not there in Addis with us, so that is good. Briefly, I don't know, I had a couple of slides which I think some of you may have already seen, just to give a brief of what the chapter, what the advisory council does and how to reach out to us. That has already been said by Christina and Joyce. But I don't know if I can do the, let me see.
You can share your screen. Yes.
Let me see if I can do the share screen. Right.
But Lillian, you can also just talk, and then I will share your presentation with the chapter representative here. So.
Okay. That's perfect. Yeah, I think I don't know if that's my screen now. If you can see it. So,
yes, we can.
Okay, perfect. I'm advancing on using Zoom. Last time I wasn't able to share the screen. So these are the steering committee members. As you can see, we're represented across the globe. We have Europe, we have LAC, that is Latin America and North America, and of course Africa, APAC, and Middle East. Plus, let me see, yeah, that there's also the non-geographical members, who we have the representative from Puerto Rico, Satish and Peter. So Eduardo is our chair. So he curates all the information that we get and presents mainly to the board, all chief whips us. And I happen to be the secretary with Satish. Also, for purposes of time, you can see more of the representatives. There's a link shared there. So our purpose mainly is to channel and facilitate, advise, and also send recommendations to and from the board and the president of the Internet Society in a bottom-up manner. What this means, as Christine and Joyce have already said, that we get feedback from you, we get concerns from you that you may see that may shape Internet Society. There could be grievances, there could be recommendations, there could be policy recommendations, strategies, or general operations of the Internet Society. So our purpose is to get your views and channel them to the board and to the president. And I think this gives us, as we've heard from Christine, we are the biggest in Africa, 35 chapters. So I think we really have a critical role to play. And considering that probably the next billion connections may come from Africa, so we need to capitalize on that and see how we can really shape the vision of the Internet Society. We also try to stimulate and facilitate communications and collaborations between chapters, trustees, staff, and other members of the ISO community. What does this mean is that if within chapters, maybe even at regional level, or maybe at sub-regional level, there are things that we may feel that we need to do, let's be able to, stimulate that. If there are collaborative ideas, then we need to be able to capture that and present it to the board, all between, chapters. And then lastly, we serve as a consultative body to the president and the trustees in the case of disputes or status changes related to chapters. Like I said, we try to get, our role is to have this bottom-up approach. So if there are any disputes between chapters or, anything or stuff, I don't know, maybe this is a role that we can play. We meet monthly. We discuss proposals received from the community related to new topics or any emerging topics. We also have we have subgroup. We also work with groups of chapter representatives to produce proposals to the board. And also we communicate between chapters and the rest of the society. To date, and I think this probably may have changed in the next call we meet, which is due next week. In the past, we've had issues around IETF registration for chapters. We've had issues that the board worked on, ISOC improving support for chapters, the process of selecting chapter participants in ISOC delegations, and proposal for greater involvement of chapter in positions and policy brief developments. A quick one, I think for some currently, there was an issue on, if I start with the ITF, I think there was a concern in one of the, I think ICANN meetings where there was no ISOC related event and there was concern. So this is currently being discussed, and well, Christine can supplement because I found us having started this year, and some of these topics, as you can see, arise from 2016. So most of these topics are currently under discussion, but the other one that I may call is the ISOC fellowship and upper age limits. We received a request to look into the current upper age limit restriction on the IGF ambassador program, which is currently available to people under 40. And there was concern that, it is discriminatory. And then I think there was an email from the president, Andrew, saying that the fellowship would be combined with a youth IGF program, which also still restricts the upper age limit. So there's a bit of concern here, and this is something that we are discussing. On the issue of the ITF gatherings, ICANN 64 meeting, there was no ISOC-led event. Formal and informal, I think people felt disappointed. And this was also raised to the ISOC staff. So currently they are working, leaders and members are working around to make this possible. There's discussion going on how to improve that sort of situation to avoid further things happening. We also currently we are discussing reform of our council. In the past, there were things that probably that came over years that the current council feels that it's not under our mandate. So these are being discussed and to see how we can stick to the role of providing support and enhancing chapter reach out and stuff, rather than going into core discussions on ISOC operations. I think the issue of improving communications has already been hit on by Joyce and Christine, where members felt there was really there were some gaps in communication between chapters and ISOC staff or ISOC administration. Currently, this has been improved on with a monthly regional calls that provide reports and updates from our region in Africa. I think right now everyone in that room is on the WhatsApp group that Victor created. I think it provides timely information to us, and we've also seen there have been monthly updates that are usually shared on the website. And Victor, I think, has been good at chief whipping us to present, to log into the chapter portal, share our activities, our work plans, things that we are doing, things that we are planning to do. So from the African perspective, I think we are seeing an improvement in that. So I think also that is also happening in the other regions. So that is a good thing. I think there's also been previously things that have been raised from the chapters is we've seen there was the issue of IETF registration fees, where people raised concern it was too high, and they needed to have maybe a waiver fee for chapter leaders. So this is currently there's a pilot program, and that is being worked on. We'll be able to communicate in case Christine will also probably update on that in the next chapter's meeting on what's happening. And the other thing is on chapter delegates to the advisory council. You well know that every member, every chapter is required to have a representative on the chapter advisory council, and the steering committee is supposed to provide advice on the additional criteria. But however, there's a concern that very few of us have representatives, and so a call to us from you is, if you've not selected or elected an advisory representatives, please do so that we are able to capture your inputs and be able to present them to the board. And lastly, I think this has already been engagement with members, which is also on communication. Christine, Joyce has mentioned a bit, some bits on this. The global members, efforts to encourage joining chapters. There's a membership recruitment plan. I think Joyce hinted on this. And also, yes, exploring using WhatsApp. Even for us, communications because you have your gadget on phone. So this is something that has been working for us. And in conclusion, I'd like to say that I think we need to capitalize on, to leverage on our status, having 35 chapters, making up the whole, internet society is a big thing. Please air your views to us. We'll take them to the board and stuff and see that we're able to improve our whole mission as the internet society. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Lillian. So I don't know if you have questions for Lillian, just maybe 1 minute. I know we are over the time, but I will allow you to ask some questions. So 1, 2, 3. So Ivan, Zakaria, and Kevin. So start with Ivan.
Okay, thank you, Lillian, for a nice presentation. Yeah, I would like to get some clarification. I think it will also be useful to other chapters that, as you said on your, I think it was the second slide, that you get, as the advisory committee, you do get concerns from local chapters. Then you work on them using the bottom-up approach. But I would like to know if there is any case of any concern that you got, and I would just need the clarity of how these concerns are solved and they are worked on when after being addressed, probably to the committee. How are they worked on, such that we on the ground get to see that they are solved? I would want to get clarity of how you do it, because members, I know they have concerns, many in their societies, but I think when they go up, some of them, they don't get to be solved down, or they don't see what is being done. Thank you.
Do you want me to respond to that now? Oh,
yeah, let's get all the question and then you can respond. So,
sorry, another question?
Yes, Zakaria.
Oh, there's no question.
Okay. Merci.
Right.
Thank you. I wanted to simply ask a clarification on what you had just said. I heard, maybe I didn't hear well, that there existed a steering consultative committee in which the chapters will have to select a representative. And then she was asking, because those who don't have representatives to do so. Now, if I understood very well, you could explain further how that will be done. Thank you.
Okay, and the last question from Kevin.
Okay, sorry, I didn't understand that. My French speaking is terrible. So Victor probably could summarize and let us know. It was still not audible for us to understand what you were saying.
Yes, I will summarize. So, but I let Kevin ask his.
Thanks, Victor. Hi, Lillian. I trust you're well. Thank you for that presentation. Just a clarification. I didn't understand what you meant by ITF registration fees for leaders. Could you clarify what that's about? Thanks.
Yeah, and before you answer, Lillian, I will quickly summarize the question in French. It was regarding your request for chapters to select their representative to the advisory council. So, our colleague from Burkina Faso chapter was asking how it works. So, thank you.
Oh, okay. Currently, there is we'll share in the presentation. There's a link where you can see all a list of the chapter advisory council representatives. So the person There is a chapter portal, which is currently has been renamed to Member Nova. So you log into the chapter portal and add the role. Under roles, you add the person who you selected as the chapter representatives, as the council representative. So thanks for the screen. So you can see if you're not the representative to the council, right now you can scroll through that link. I think it's currently being projected, and see whether your chapter has elected a representative. If not, then reach out to your head, if you're not the head or the person who is in charge of that, and agree who the person should be. In the past, I think we've had an issue of a concern that chapter presidents or whichever role you call them, presidents or leaders or top leaders, shouldn't be the ones to represent the council, because at times some of them are too busy to, follow up on this. So I think as chapters or chapter officials, you need to agree on who to select on that. So currently that is being done. Back to the issue of the concerns. I think I just went through some of those, but I'll pick one thing that maybe I can highlight. Yes, let me start on the issue of we had from the previous committee. Mine, we've just started serving this year, but there have been issues in the past where I highlighted an incident that the need to have more ISOC gatherings or ISOC presence at internet industry events. So there was a concern where at the ICANN 64 meeting, there were no ISOC-led events, formal or informal, where several chapter representatives, were disappointed by that. So a response from ISOC on why no event was held, that ISOC at that time, I think, were going through outreach and redefining the whole outreach strategy. So that was raised that was discussed in the council, in the committee. And at the moment, there's been an improvement, and currently chapters have been encouraged to engage chapter face-to-face meetings. So this is more, this is more of an outreach strategy. How does ISOC improve its outreach strategy? So at the moment, this is currently under discussion, where ISOC is working on outreach strategy. If we have, say, a meeting, there's a gathering, we know there's ICANN here, we know there is maybe IGF here. IGF, of course, we've seen events happening that are ISOC-led. So it is more of an outreach strategy. Maybe the one that which I also, I think, just talked about, the issue of improving communications between ISOC staff and chapters, where in the past, there was concern that there's little engagement between staff and chapters. As to that, we can all testify if ISOC has been working around improving its engagement, outreach strategies. I've just talked about what is happening in Africa. We've seen the Africa Bureau coming up with a communications plan, creating WhatsApp groups, creating monthly calls to capture things that are happening from the region, and also updates on the portal. If you go to the ISOC website, there's currently a section which has regional events or summary of monthly activities that are happening in the plan. So in the society. So in the past, these are some of the issues that have been coming up, and ISOC has reacted by addressing that. I don't know if that answers your question, Ivan. If not, maybe Christine can clarify more, because I'm just joining our term has just started this year, but Christine maybe can share on some of the things that the committee has addressed in the past years. Sorry to put.
Sure, I can speak a little bit more. I just don't want to take too much of your time either, but I think you gave a good summary of some of the topics that are currently being discussed. So there is a global chapter advisory council list. That's the list I just shared on the screen, where every active chapter can in principle nominate a person. These meet 2 or 3, 4 times a year, and the next advisory council poll is actually on Monday next week. So it would be great if you could check with your chapter advisory council representatives to make sure they can attend if possible. That would be really good to make sure that the discussions of the advisory council are actually representative of all the global chapter community and not just the voices of a few chapters, because these are the most active. So that's something that the current chapter advisory council steering committee is looking into. How can they make sure that they actually get the active engagement of all chapters from around the world? So one of the topics that Lilian just mentioned is that there was a decision this year that was taken to diversify the places where we do the community engagement, places and times over the year. At the beginning of the year, we decided to do, for example, with the ICANNs, to take one of them, which we decided was the one in Montreal towards the end of the year, because we know that a lot of chapters will be there, to take that as a community engagement moment for in terms of ICANN engagement, and not do big events alongside the other ICANN events, but rather focus on other industry events like the RSA and the IGF, to diversify a little bit the places of where we do community engagement. So there was a discussion mainly around the ICANN meetings on the last steering committee call, because a lot of chapters felt that it would still be good for the chapters who happen to be there and who, to find a place where to get together, even if it's informally, to just meet, have a drink, or take this opportunity. And that's something that we can definitely help with, to look at the logistics, to set up these informal get-togethers too. So that's something we're working with the steering committee to identify how best to take these points forward. So in a nutshell, this is just, it's a few examples, but it's topics like these where a majority of the chapters feel this is something that they would like to change or do differently. And that's, Leon is your sort of channel into that discussion. But also feel free to join the full advisory council calls that's for all the active chapters, and make sure you participate and make the discussions relevant for your requested chapters.
Thanks, Christine.
Thank you very much, Lilian, and thank you, Christine, as well. I think there was a last question from Kevin about the IETF registration fees discussions. So, Lilian, you can clarify what you are working on.
Yes, Christine, I'm going to call on you to assist on that.
Sorry, I just missed the last point. Can you just repeat? Sorry, Victor, what were you saying? Or
I captured from the previous some of the issues that were raised in the previous meetings. In the issues that were received in the committee was a current program to waive registration fees for IETF registration fees, and that was discussed in the committee. There's a pilot program that for local chapters that is currently being worked on, and we are still waiting results on this, but maybe a bit of a background on that.
Yes, so this was initially a proposal made by the steering committee quite a bit back, that we could look into waiving or reimbursing the registration fees for some individuals who would like to attend the IETF but could not because the registration fees are fairly high. So this is something that has been suggested by the advisory council, and that was then widened up by the board to make this available to all Internet Society members, not only chapter members. While we still, the announcements usually go through the chapters, we encourage the chapters to look, help us identify people to apply for this program. So there were 2 pilot rounds done of this program, the last one in Prague 2 weeks ago. So we're still in the process of compiling how these pilot tests went, what the feedback from the participants is, etc. And we'll, once we have all the details, get back to the Chapter Advisory Council and also do an internal assessment of the program. Also looking at it from the more global perspective of the revision of all the travel fellowship programs, probably. Yeah, we're gathering the details on how the pilots go, and we'll be back to the Advisory Council with more on that.
Thanks, Christine. Kevin, I hope that answers you. But yeah, like we said, we capture issues of concern that arise from chapters, and we discuss them and present them to the board. So yes, anything else that you have, please feel free to join the Advisory Council meeting, which is on Monday, or drop me an email, and then we can see how we can present that to the rest of the committee members. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much, Lillian, and thank you again, Christine. So I think we don't have any question left. So I'd like to thank you once again, but I would like to close by, I know you did not have a chance to see the faces of our 2019 fellows. So we have 29 fellows. We have 28 that we sponsor and 1 self-sponsored fellows. So I would like to close by giving them just 1 second to each person to stand, give his or her name and the chapter that he or she comes from. So I will use my laptop to show their faces.
Good morning. My name is Peter Mbando. I'm coming from Tanzania chapter.
Mauste Foli Abli from Togo.
Bonjour, moi c'est Serge Parfait.
Good morning, I'm Serge Parfait from the Republic of Congo. Good morning, I'm Amin Keita, Republic of Guinea. David from Tunisia.
Walid Babikir from Sudan chapter.
Hello, my name is Ardunya Nacho from Ethiopia.
Good morning, my name is Anna Momo from the Namibian chapter.
Hello, I'm Lilian from Cameroon chapter.
Bonjour.
I'm Bula from Madagascar.
Bonjour, moi c'est Brahim.
I'm Brahim Isman from Burundi. Chad, Edem Kobla from Senegalese chapter. Good morning. Eric Zita, Congo Kinshasa chapter. Good morning. Ramon Biao from Benin chapter. Good morning. Zachary Sagwa Dogo from Burkina. Good morning. Jara Bakara from Cote d'Ivoire chapter. Malik from Malian chapter. Chair, there are some microphones which are not being used. If they could be switched off. Francis.
Chapter.
Hello, I'm Wame Raskhakwana, Botswana chapter.
Bonjour, my name is Mia Stona from the South African chapter.
Yes, good morning. My name is Ivan Bosa from Uganda chapter.
Good morning. My name is Bakari Njai from Gambia chapter.
Good morning. My name is Ajith Kotse from Lesotho chapter.
Morning, my name is Esther Ngom from Cameroon chapter.
Okay. Good morning, my name is Salama Itakala from Ethiopia.
Et ça, c'est qui, Victor?
And who is that, Victor?
Merci beaucoup, ça fait plaisir.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to know you. Thank you, Joyce.
Oh no, this was really, it was really nice to see you. Really.
You left us the side.
You all forgot the side. Victor.
Stay for a few seconds. I forgot some fellows, please.
You forgot some fellows, you said? Sorry.
Yes.
Good morning. My name is Davis Onsaki, representing Internet of Things Special Interest Group. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Lisa Nyamazao from the Zimbabwean chapter.
Thank you. Really, really nice to see everyone.
So I have to say goodbye. I have to run to. I'm at WISIS in Geneva, so I have to run. I have to speak in about an hour. So, but it was a pleasure to be with you this morning. And Lilian, thank you for joining as well. I appreciate that managed to join online as well. So Victor, thank you for everything. Have a great day today. I know you still have a full program, so I wish you all the best for the day. But I know you will have fun. I could see by the faces that was not an issue. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Joyce. Thank you, Christine. Thank you, Lilian. I think it was a very good session, and we'll continue now. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Bye.
Thanks, everyone. Have a good rest of the day.
Thank you, Christine.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Victor. Thanks, everyone. I'll join in later remotely, maybe in the next 1 hour. So yeah, look forward to listening in to all your conversations.
Thank you very much, Lilian, for joining.
based spectrum. And the second one is data privacy, which also has a need trust. And the third one is data usage, the bundle we buy on our phones, how they can account for the data we use.
Another group?
Yes.
Donc pour l'honneur.
For the honor of Africa, we have three topics. The first one, data protection and the alliance of action. The second one is Internet of Things and thinking of a platform for the region. The third one, developing a program for communication and learning and setting up of a model. And that is a project which, apart from the scope that we had, we discussed. We in Central Africa, we had the 3 points: the legal framework, Internet of Things, data, personal data protection, and protection of private life. The second one is access, quality, and the cost of Internet. Third one, governance, with especially main points, the shutdown, Internet shutdown, because in many of the countries, there have been a lot of Internet shutdowns. So the issue of development of training for IoT developers. Thank you.
West Africa.
For West Africa, we first of all went around the table to look at the various issues in terms of advocacy priorities within each country, and what we listed. And second one, we needed to classify our priorities to be able to bring out three out of which we accorded the greatest priorities for the region.
On a les mêmes problèmes.
We were three, so we had the same problem. We were able to do we were not, in fact, we had the same problems, especially the actions that were started in Morocco, Tunisia, Algeria, protection of data. These are things that we have already started. And we also, they had done a lot of things, and we wanted to take advantage of that. These are things that we want very well to be able to get to the same level of for the other three countries in community governance. Thank you.
Thank you. Central Africa.
Merci beaucoup, Monsieur le Président.
Thank you, Chair. In the Central African Group, we started by selecting a chair and somebody who had to be the rapporteur and the criteria. Now we are Bantus. The age, maturity plays a lot of role, and we selected the most mature person in our group. Secondly, to list the issues, problems, we realize that that's a cross-cutting issue, nature of the problem. All the countries are facing the same problem. And so we're able to identify what was the problem, major problems. And since there were smaller problems, we categorized them to be able to look at the word. Thank you.
Great. I think this is getting exciting. Evelyn?
So thank you so much. Actually, I'm enjoying the process that you guys go through. So instead of going through, each of your groups again, I'll just ask another general question so that anyone who wants to come in should come in. We'll probably choose 2 or 3. So what are some of the difficulties you faced in this process? What were the group dynamics in terms of the roles you played while coming up with your top 3 priorities? Yes.
Like in our group, I noticed that in order to actually decide if something is a priority, you need to understand it clearly and understand whether it's something that you can solve. The scenario that was explained in Botswana, to say that as a chapter, you need to have your objectives in line to understand that this is what we do. And in order for us to do this particular thing, we need to align, we need to see exactly where it meets with whatever problem it is, and then make it a priority to say, because of this particular issue, this is not happening and it needs to be happening.
Dans notre groupe, on a essayé de laisser.
In our group, we made everybody speak, and we tried to bring out 2 points. Each country spoke about what they felt to be important, and later we had a list and we did a brainstorming, and then we looked at the priorities of the issues that were critical. That is what we did.
In the same group, so I'll just add a little. I think so. This way. Okay, I think our topmost priority was the community network. Looking at Africa, especially in Africa, the northern part of Africa normally are not very well connected, and we're looking at getting them connected because internet society, we are looking at getting the unconnected connected. So we made our topmost priority so that through TV wide-space spectrum, because in Africa, I believe everyone watches TV, even in the rural area. So the TV wide-space spectrum will be a best solution to get internet to everyone at every corner. Thank you.
I second that.
Is there any other person who wants to share? Okay, just one more.
In the case of East Africa, we had as a critical issue that only applied to one country, which was the issue of monopoly. The other countries have competition, but the challenge there was to make it a priority because it's a big issue in itself. It contributes to the bigger topic of internet costs, but it doesn't apply to all countries. It's only one of the 4.
Is there anyone who felt like you had an issue that you felt was priority to you, but was not priority to everyone else? Was there that scenario, or all of you guys were just nice and yes, these are the priority areas? Can you say, please, give your experience?
His microphone is off. And there is another microphone on which should be off. What I was trying to explain is that I had an opinion which you found to be priority, but which the group felt to put in the background from the opinions of the others, and try and share how you went about this frustration.
En fait, le point sur lequel je...
The issue to which I want us to go back is security and implementation of IoT in Cameroon. Given the fact that there are startups which have been created but they are not very well known, I would want to suggest that in looking at the fact that Internet Society has actions in technical areas, they can support the startups, those who are just learning, teach them more things about technicity, security, and others. What we talked about also was on governance. Given the fact that Internet Society cannot have a direct impact on the government, I said that IoT is better placed for that. That's my opinion.
Tunisia wanted to say something?
Oui, en fait, moi...
Indeed, during the discussions, I had a point that I wanted to raise, but I felt that my colleagues do not have this type of priorities regarding for their country. So straight away, I stopped, I declined to get to convergence for us to get a consensus. I don't know if it's a mistake on my part for this plan that I adopted. I don't know if it was a good decision. It's up to us to decide. I wanted to talk with my colleagues on priorities, the setting up sensitization and training platform on Internet of Things, and also all issues relating to sensitization, security in its generality. It was a project of sensitization platform, but straight away I felt that they wanted actions on the field, on the ground, and which will lead to something, not training, but concretization of projects. That was the fourth point. You asked for three, so.
Great. I think from the comments coming from our colleagues, you can easily identify that it's not very easy to come up with an advocacy idea. Because firstly, amongst the group that you think is a common understanding of the same issues, there are always diverse opinions. I think the three takeaways for me in this particular exercise is that, firstly, there are issues that could be common amongst our regions, but there are also things that we personally believe could be important issues. And sometimes why advocacy or our advocacy plans or our campaigns may not be successful is simply because it could be a personal, an idea that you passionately like and have an interest on, but the rest of the stakeholders may not necessarily feel the same. I think another important point that we said we should do in this exercise is to come up with one, just listing one And once again, I'll go around the room to get this one particular issue that would like to work on. And we are going to do it. So let's start with East Africa. What's your number one priority? And then we will get into the next steps.
Our first one is building trust.
Is this very clear to colleagues? I know it's internet society as a bucket of building trust.
I think we can explain if that's what you want. Yeah.
Okay, make it very
Localize
clear.
it for your needs. Like, what is building trust according to you guys in East Africa?
Exactly.
We realized we used a catchphrase of sorts. We needed to summarize the things in that bucket, which
one conversation, please.
Which included.
Excuse me, guys. At the back, please. Hello. You don't need to readjust and I mean you can still stand with your idea.
Okay. So I'm
inside it.
Okay.
Wait. We have Kenya first.
Within the building trust, we just got one word because we have different issues in the different countries. And some of those issues included the ID issue in Kenya. And the Malabo Convention was common to all of us, and the issue of data protection. And we had to summarize because there were many issues, so we grouped them into one under building trust. With a limit of time, we could rename it and call it even a Kiswahili name, which would be pretty convenient.
Okay, so you want to, in that case, for me personally, it sounds like 3 issues that you have there. So we'll give you, another opportunity, not to regroup, but to just decide on one particular issue that you would want to focus on as a region. Let's go to Southern Africa.
Thank you. Our biggest priority is IoT devices. Thanks.
I see some members getting surprised there. Is that the case, Southern Africa? IoT devices?
It is IoT devices, unless maybe it's because, as you said earlier, it's a matter of underlying it, like what they said earlier. Sorry, there's too much chatter. I can't.
Sorry, guys. Excuse me, members. Could we respect the person who's on the mic, please? Thank you.
Hello. Sorry.
So, like what the East African issue was, you need to align your 3 priority issues and eventually make one out of it. Ours is IoT devices because the whole issue of IoT currently as a priority issue is the fact that without policies in place, there will not be access in place, which will not allow us to have IoT devices for us to access the internet as well as other services that come aligned with it. So we put IoT devices as a priority to say that our ISPs and everybody else who is in the market of those things we should rather have an influx of it, or not necessarily an influx, but to balance the scales between what can we access and how we access it. Yes, thank you.
Brilliant. This is very interesting. And in the next exercise, you'll be able to expand on this. So if it's not clear yet, colleagues, we'll have an opportunity for them to clearly expand on what they mean and what they want to do as the action items. Let's move on to West Africa. Before we go there, I see a hand at the back. Quickly, please.
After interacting with our students and the internet using community, what we normally see in East Africa is the loss of credibility of internet is mainly because of the social networks. Because in the social networks, a lot of false information, a lot of crazy things are happening. And that is why people think these days that normal users, those who are expert users, they certainly worry about the encryption and kind of things. But the normal users, normally, they lose the credibility on the internet because of the proliferation of the social networks and a lot of false information that is getting spread through the social networks. So in fact, more or less, if we shut down the social networks, I think many people will come back to internet and they will start believing on they will have better credibility.
Is that East Africa?
Not total. I'm talking about the normal users. I'm not talking about in whole. I'm talking about mainly the students and the users who use it occasionally. They normally, don't have a good credibility over the internet, mainly because of the social networks.
I see. It sounds like a new group there, right? Oh, I guess it's a cross-cutting issue. For now, we leave this as a cross-cutting issue, right? So that we all don't get confused. West Africa.
Killer for the record. So we decided to stick to community networks using TV white spaces. If you look at statistics from both North Africa, South Africa, and some other parts of Africa, you find out that West Africa is actually having a low people do not get access to the internet at the rural areas, specifically for West Africa. That number is very low for West Africa. So we thought that we should look at how telcos, civil society can start beginning to use TV white spaces that are yet to be used. That being said, even the fact that there is a universal service provision funds that is more like a United Nations or maybe an African Union goal, that it's supposed to be a focus whereby internet will be provided for rural areas using such kind of funds. They are not majorly being used for that purpose. And so in that case, we decided to change the approach on the level of advocacy to then start using, asking our telco provider, telecom regulator and broadcasting regulation, because it has to go through two government agencies to start seeing how we can use this to increase the use of community networks.
Brilliant. Central Africa.
Okay, pour nous le top, c'est.
For us, the problem of we have four looks: the data, legal framework for private life in the light of IoT. Thank you. For us, we select IoT as a final thing, and we're going to focus on sensitization at the national level of each country and set up, introduce collaborative actions. Thank you.
Did I miss anyone? Brilliant. So we'll move on to the next steps. What you see there, the image on this slide is the face of change. Okay, Evelyn wants to take on this.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to ask, out of curiosity, do you know who that is? Apart from Walid. Okay, I might have given it away. Do you know who that lady is?
No,
the gentleman there is going to tell us.
Yeah. Cette dame, c'est.
This lady is in Sudan. She was the person who was at the forefront of the revolution, and she composed a song. I think it's a Sudanese here who in the room who may confirm. I followed this on Radio France International. I listened to the song in the light of community mobilization against Omar al-Bashir.
Certainly, you're right. And I'll also give Walid to, in 30 seconds, maybe explain what's going on. But I would want, on behalf of the room, of course, Walid, to extend our solidarity to Sudan on the advocacy that's happening in the country. Walid, to you.
Thank you for your support and our Sudan is in critical situation, but now army control in the government. Sudan now is free, and we hope it's the best than the past. This woman is the freedom logo in Sudan. Thank you.
Thank you, Walid, for that. There's a reason to be happy. So we'll move on to the next steps. So we are going to use the slide that is showing for the one priority issue that we have all identified. Again, in our groups, we need to clearly outline one action that you want to do with regards to this priority area. For now, we'll just keep it to one action that you want to do. Please be clear to identify where this action is directed to. If this action is directed to consumer, if it's directed to a certain community, if it's directed to a certain government department, please be clear in your plan where the target is going to be, or who the target is going to be. The timeline is also very important. I am sure this won't take you a very long time. Successful campaigns normally run, or advocacy plans normally run on 12 months basis. Of course, some may run for years. I guess in Sudan, it has been quite a number of years. But if we can focus our plan also within a frame of 12 months, if you want it to be less, it's all fine. In your plan, can you identify critical partners? The people that you believe could add value to this action that you intend to take. In identifying your partners, also assign a role to each and every partner that you want to involve in this campaign. Let's also be very clear about identifying our partners. Let's not have a list of 20 partners. Here we're talking about the most critical partners. If you would have more than 5 partners in this campaign, I think it may be even difficult to manage as well. Another important aspect that we would like you to identify is the critical resources that you'd like. For the group that's focusing on community networks and the discussion that I normally have with Michuki, I'm sure Michuki should be your resource, should be one of the resources that you'd need for this particular campaign to happen. And lastly, critical path. From today, this is not just an exercise, right? We will be following up on this. I'll be happy to do a follow-up. Would want a critical path, 3 to 5 critical stages or critical actions that you want to do from today going onwards. Evelyn would chip in. I think another interesting angle we can add to this is, would you like to give this campaign a name? Maybe. If I think it may be important to, in your group, to also decide on what name you want to give to this campaign, to this advocacy. Evelyn?
All right, thanks, Vengai. So I think what these steps show us is we really wanted to summarize the process that you guys have been going through. So if you think about, where we started with you guys to say, find your key priority areas, those different steps that you went through and how hard or how easy it was are some of the steps that you go through when you're running any advocacy at any one point. So as you understand, there's tens of thousands of issues to solve in this world, right? So you have to prioritize and find, which one is the issue that you want to deal with. So my East African friends, for instance, they had 5 different issues that they feel are priority. Which one do you feel in your moment of time is the most critical? And so in most times when you have an advocacy campaign that you want to do, you have to focus on one. Yes, there's 10,000 of other things to do, but you have to narrow it down to what is the one thing that I want to first start with, and then build the rest of the priorities around that. So it's very important for you. You might even want to go back and realign and say, okay, depending on everything that we need to do, maybe this is the priority area. It might change as you go on. But as you go through that process, you need to find out that one critical aspect, how change looks like to you. What does success look like? So when you think about the action, think about, what kind of change do you want to see happening, within that whole process, and then go on to, the rest of the other things that Virengai talked about. So think through it very carefully and think through it very adamantly, because you have to go through this process. It's not always a one-step process, but it's always a process that takes time. But unless you understand all of those key aspects in terms of timelines, how long is it going to take you, who are the partners you need, what sort of resources, do you have the technical resource, for instance, within your chapters, or do you have, or you don't have them? So where do you find them? Do you have information? Do you have finances? So you have to think about all of these different things that you need to make your advocacy run. So that's why we really wanted to start with that exercise in the beginning, for you to sort of test what the situation could be, and then start thinking critically about those issues that you want to solve, and then think through how you can actually actualize that step. I don't know if that's clear to everyone.
Are there any questions? Clarification question?
Merci beaucoup, Mr. Chair. La question...
Mr. Chair, the question that I would like to raise is there any means that is more scientific or more efficient that can prove the veracity of the choice? Because in the approach used by each and everyone, it is we who were speaking on behalf of others. So are we possibly right about what we think of? Thank you.
That's very important, and probably there's an opportunity under your resources to be able to talk about this. Is this based on empirical evidence? What you have decided is a priority area for your region? If you go back home in Southern Africa and you say to all the chapters in Southern Africa is focusing on IoT devices, do you believe that they would buy this idea? Because we are going to try it. So think about this critically. I'm actually surprised that the issues that we wanted to spend the whole night talking about, shutdowns, what else? Data, the ISPs stealing our money, they are not appearing on the list. Are these the easy things that we just want to do, or we just short of time and we picked a short list? If we believe that this is very critical issues for us, because I in the beginning I also explained that we are doing this process for 3 reasons. The first one is we are reminding ourselves of how this process is done in practical sense. So there is much pressure to decide on an issue because the issue has to resonate with all the people around you, especially the people who understand the same things with you. The second reason why we are doing this is we are already building some ideas on our probably next year plans. You may remember that we have started already this 2020 plans. and there will be call for ideas, and I personally thought that rearranging ourselves, getting issues that are important to us could be an easy starting point to build ideas that we can submit as well for the other processes coming. So that's the situation we have at the moment.
Lisa?
I think the problem is by putting us in groups, you are assuming that our countries experience the same issues, which is not the case. So I think maybe that could be a challenge to actually go back and try to convince the whole region to focus on maybe IoT devices, yet maybe some chapters are experiencing shutdowns or issues with connectivity, etc. So I think the assumption that countries in a certain region experience the same issues is a bit flawed.
Mm-hmm.
Lisa, there will always be assumptions. In fact, there are assumptions that Africa is one region and it is one country and it has same problems. This assumption will always remain. But another important aspect of an advocacy or a campaign is critical mass. If we are not able to rally behind one particular idea, Serge, may you please your mic? If we are not able to identify one particular issue and rally behind that one particular issue, we always have it remains very difficult to convince either the target audience or the people that we want to bring the change. So there has to be a certain level of, what's the word? Consensus, maybe. So unless if you would like another 5 minutes, maybe it's too less. It's not a sufficient time to do that. I'll take these two comments quickly. Please be very clear in your comment. We don't have much time for very long narrations. I'll start with Cameroon and then I'll come to Burkina Faso.
Ok, tu as parlé de, en fait, qu'on devait s'attendre.
We had to deal with internet cuts and internet connections costs, which is very high. So for the case of Central Africa, in main aspect, I come back on the IoT idea, and I tell myself that if we directly go on that, it is going to be difficult to implement that, have a direct action on what has to be done. But it depends on several people. There are several steps. The governments, the other individuals, and then also civil society who have to work on that topic. But then on the other hand, I'm talking about IoT, majority of them are individuals and young people who are developing various apps. And then so for me, it is important for them to open their door to internet society so that tomorrow, when you talk about internet, what internet society can do in terms of internet shutdown, then you see what they've already done upstream in the case of the rest. That is why I still remain a little bit on my plan. And if there's, because this is just something that is being born.
Thank you. Again, when you speak, thanks for that. That's a brilliant idea. I would love to do that as well. But when you also speak, please try to consider your colleagues and be as inclusive as possible, so that we all don't have 31 advocacy plans when we live here. Plus, I mean, I know some chapters have got 1,000 members. So let's try to be as inclusive as possible in our thinking. I'll leave Burkina Faso.
Okay, merci.
Thank you. I would like here to say that is a little bit complicated for us because each person came with a kind of topic he's defending to be able to leave one's ego and accept the other. But I think we should be able to go beyond that and then find a means of having a consensus. For this reason, for instance, if in the groups people cannot have consensus, just as we are in the democratic countries, we should be able to put in place a kind of democracy to be able to let a problem that we want to work on emerge. For instance, in my case, my chapter did their plan of action since 2019, and then also the other communities also for this year. So if I want to defend it, I can defend it now. But then if they are in the group, there are others who have other priorities. And if maximum of them have other priorities, I should be able to ensure that I know what I'm defending so that we can advance together. Thank you.
Sergio, I'll come to you. Let me start.
Merci.
Thank you. Indeed, I come back on the process and I have some remarks to make. Especially majority of us are going to face resource problems. And generally speaking, these are so I come back to talk about the process. I was saying that generally speaking, we're going to face resource problems. And in this case, logically, we'll have to review our objectives if the resources are not there. And if we are going to review our objectives, at what level are you going to review the objectives? That's the first point. The second point is, appears to me that the process was lacking something below. Why not think about bringing in indicators of success to see that we will say we have been successful in achieving our objectives, and especially when if we don't succeed, we'll ask on which basis. So we add indicators, performance indicators. Thank you.
Merci beaucoup.
Thank you very much, Chair. I'm going to deal with almost the same, and I think that at the procedural level, there are certain upstream items we have to look for. Already with the problem 3 definition, we have to also define the solution 3. And then we say more guests and signing more guests. What has become of the ambitions that we have if we don't have access to the services? What I want to say is that we have a shop with beautiful objects inside, and then the door is closed. How are you going to sell those items? And in my humble opinion, the priority of access is a priority 0 priority. And for me, it is something that I have at heart, but I cannot impose on others. And so we should be able to arrive at looking at things in a cross-cutting manner. That is the skills. Because the skills or competencies are cross-cutting. We're talking about law. We're talking about technology. And there's so many things. I think this discussion is interesting. So we have to structure it so that we come out of something concise from here. Thank you.
Okay. Malik du chapitre du Mali.
Mali chapter. It goes in the same direction. That is to say, each chapter has its individual realities. For instance, in West Africa, we have taken as a priority the community networks. But then, frankly speaking, in Mali, I cannot undertake a campaign of advocacy on the community networks for the simple reason that we have access of the universal management of access to funds, which is supposed to put in place these networks, and they are fully involved in it. They are fully involved. And each year, I think from 2018 to 2023, we have to put in place 300 to 400 community networks, and the funds are already available. Putting in place is ongoing. So what campaign as a chapter will I have to undertake on this particular topic? My priority, therefore, and then my objectives for the campaign will no longer be directed towards this particular aim. So these are the problems. So that is why even at the level of the discussion or debate, when we raised this issue, I kept quiet because so that at least the majority should be able to continue. But in real terms, at the Malian chapter, this category will not even look at it as a priority point.
Okay, I think we need to round up this discussion. We don't need to keep on discussing and discussing. We have a clear plan that we need to do. So we will have also sufficient time to Victor tells me that, Elizabeth, sorry, Evelyn, do you have anything to add before I call upon Jaren to?
Je m'en souviendrai.
I remember, and next time I'm not going to raise my hand until the session ends.
So we'll have a small session, Bashirin. But what I was going to say is that this conversation, of course, is very complex. It's not, you don't have one way of doing advocacy, and you guys already have so many different priority areas. And most of what we'll do this afternoon, I think we'll be digging deeper into each of your, I've seen different chapters have started talking about their priority areas and what is and what is not. So in the afternoon, I know that Victor has a session that will even dig deeper into the next steps. And I think that's where we'll discuss more in depth about your specific advocacy ideas. But at least for the purpose of that session, we wanted to make sure that you understand some of the tools that you need. There's some of the things that you cannot skip if you're thinking about, advocacy. And then we can have this conversation more in the afternoon when we're doing specific.
So I think I will go on. So I would just like to quickly introduce a colleague on. She's online. So she has been working to develop an advocacy training course. She will just introduce that course, and then we will. And then we will have a webinar later to clear it, discuss that, and see how you can use that course moving forward to conduct advocacy work in your respective countries. So, Sharon, I hope you can hear us. So you have the floor.
I do. Thank you very much. So hello everyone, this is Jaren from the Internet Society European Regional Bureau. I've been following you on Twitter and other social media for the last couple of days. And I've been seeing that it's going great. So, and also to the African Bureau and my colleagues. I just wanted to say that we are working on training material for IoT advocacy, policy advocacy for you. As you know, this is our second year in the IoT campaign. And again, I've been following the tweets, and it's great to see that there's so much interest on IoT privacy and security. We have already have an ongoing multi-stakeholder process, which is going successfully, along with other regions like Canada and France and another one in Uruguay. So this is our second year and we have more resources. Usually we come across some questions coming from the chapters. They are interested, but they don't know where to start. So we prepared a training material that we hopefully share with you in a webinar in the upcoming weeks to build a strategy and a tailor-made approach for specific stakeholders. For example, when you're talking to an audience with cybersecurity priorities, the arguments you might want to present might be different from a consumer-oriented or a consumer-dominated audience. And how to engage with various stakeholders. As you know, we are engaging with manufacturers, we are engaging with policymakers from different governmental agencies. And also we are engaging with consumers. We have partnered with Consumer International, and a big Consumers International Summit is going to happen the end of this month. So stay tuned, and stay tuned for the training. And I wish you a very successful meeting and hope to see you soon in the webinar. So stay tuned. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Sharon. So there is a lot of interest, so definitely we will organize the webinar right after this meeting in the coming weeks.
Yes, perfect.
Yeah,
perfect.
And
Thank you
sorry
so
for
much,
having
Victor.
I know that you have been working for long online, so sorry for that.
No, it's okay. It's okay. It's perfect.
Yeah.
It's glad to talk to you even for a short time. Bye and good luck.
Thank you very much for joining.
Thanks, Jaren. In fact, we have two regional regions that wants to focus on IoT. So I guess this is going to be validation. So colleagues, how much more time do we have before we break for lunch? So we just finalize our activity, 30 minutes. So back to that slide. I hope it's clear. Even if I think for purposes of this exercise and also what we can attempt to do in terms of planning an advocacy plan, let's just agree and have consensus amongst our groups that we focus on those things that we have agreed as the priority issues. There could be, of course, another discussion in the group. If it won't take you time, you may decide to change or to agree on another issue. But I think for now, let's do the next items that we have agreed. I noticed that colleagues want some colleagues want to add additional things to that list, but for now I think let's just keep it. Let's focus on those things. There are so many things we can add to this list. In fact, this list could be very long. We could have evaluation there, we can have tools there, we can have voices there, we could have so many things. So let's just stick to that, and let's spend 30 minutes to come up with those critical issues. Is it clear? Anyone who wants to comment? Guinea, do you have anything on this? A question related to what I have just said.
Bon, je vais me soulager avec cette prise de parole.
Yes, I'll be relieved myself of this taking the floor. I would like to also deal with the same way like MIGA in Mali. In Guinea, for instance, we are a very young chapter. We are just about 1 year existence. So we have other priorities that are quite different from what should be approved by those who are already existing for the 20 or 15 years. So our priority is that especially for West Africa, is to let us be known in the country. We ourselves have to make ourselves known, and especially with ISOC, that we exist. But then in addition and in parallel, advocacy activities on the various bandwidth consumptions, because there are people who create certain social problems that we would not like a problem of IoT to pose a problem in our country once we are already there as a major stakeholder. So on the other hand, the other proposals that the other countries can really undertake, we can only adhere to them because we just want to be known. And then especially we can undertake these priority activities that we are deciding on in the group to be able to ensure that our chapter will be very lively, and through these actions, we simply will be known. This is what I wanted to say. Thank you.
That's an important point. And once again, colleagues, I would re-emphasize that for our countries, we do have, in fact, even personally, we all do have priorities. But let's reconsider this discussion to focus on a regional or sub-regional priority. Because I think there is power in critical mass. If 5 chapters are working on one particular issue, even the EAC should be able to listen, I think. Even Southern Africa, SADC should be able to listen. If 5 countries have one message that they want to push. And it could be a timed campaign. That's why we have the timeline there. So let's focus on these key aspects, and then we can continue the discussion. So let's go back again to our groups. Thank you.
All right, so we have 30 minutes for this. Just regroup and see if your priorities are now changing, but at least find one priority item and then go through this process and see if by 30 minutes you have something that you can bring back to us. Thanks.
Are we tired? Okay.
Excuse me, guys, just 1 minute. Michuki is going to explain one analogy that might help us go deeper into this, and then you can all move on.
Okay, so this might help you have a better understanding of what there is translation, right? Il y a traduction? No? Okay.
Translation, you can go on. There's translation.
Let's assume we all live in one area, right? Which is your respective countries is a sub-region, right? So we all live in one area. Now, in every homestead, you have your priorities. So if we all lived in one area, let's assume Evelyn and Victor are my neighbors. I may want to do farming. in my area. Evelyn may want to open a shop to sell some goods to the neighbors. Victor may want to open a school. And Berengai here may want to build apartments to rent to the neighborhood. Now, if we are looking at it from a policy priority, what is the most important thing for us? Is it him getting cheaper stones to build the house? Or is it for Evelyn and the business that she wants to do? Is it for her to get the goods or the products that she wants for her shop cheaply? We all have specific priorities. But what is the one thing that may enable all of us to do things well? Maybe a road coming there will make it easier for me to farm, make it easier for her to get her products cheaply, make it easier for people to move into Verangai's apartment, and make it easier for Victor's children to go to Victor's school. Just the road. And maybe followed is electricity. You see, so you'll have to figure out what that priority 1 and 2. So all your priorities are somehow interlinked. So if you can find what that main road, the equivalent of a road is for you, that makes it easier for all your other priorities to be realized, then that is the goal, the objective, the priority area you identify, the road. Then it makes it work for everybody else. I don't know whether David can explain that in French.
I can explain, but I think the translation has been working, so there's no need of translation.
Okay, is it clear? All right, thank you.
With what? Okay, hi everyone. After lunch, you want to do something else? They'll present. You want them to present? Guys, we have to break off at exactly 1 p.m. to go for lunch. And then when we come back, immediately after lunch, we'll use, excuse me? Can we all listen? So we're going to conclude this session right now so that we'll go for lunch. And then immediately after lunch, when we come back, we'll use 15 minutes as a round for everyone, for all of us to present in each of our groups what we've come up with. And then Victor will take it from there. But before that, Miss Botswana, I think you had something to say. You had something, you had your hand up. Okay, so is it clear? So we'll go for lunch now, we'll break up for lunch now. Then after lunch, we'll have a short time for each one of us to present our advocacy plans.
So, can I ask? It's not listening. Oh yes, I think there is a confusion in terms of target. Like, is that target market? I don't understand.
No, the target in there means who are you targeting your advocacy plan for? So for instance, if you're working on, the guys who are doing data, yeah, okay.
Let's go quickly have lunch so that we can be back in the room at 2 p.m.